Hello, my dear friends, and welcome. My name is Vickie Hadge, and this is Even So It Is Well. Today, I'm going to review the documentary introducing Selma Blair. I won't be talking about HSCT or the medical side of the movie, as I'm not a doctor. But if you're curious to see a doctor's take on this movie, check out Dr. Brandon Bieber's review in the link up above or in the description below. To be honest, I was a bit hesitant to watch this movie. Documentaries can be brutally honest and contain images and information that we may not want to see or hear. I've watched a lot of documentaries on my journey to becoming whole food plant based, and some were pretty hard to watch. And this documentary, well, it hits a bit close to home because I have MS. I was a bit worried about what I would see and what I would hear. This movie is a roller coaster of highs and lows. There were several times where I was in tears, and several times I was laughing too. As Selma says in the movie, disabled people like to have fun too. At times, though, it's a gallows kind of humor. It's tinged with a bit of sadness. She calls her cane a really useful prop and says, Google chic canes. She also shares how she bought a massager to help with her neck spasms and pain, only to realize it was not a massager, but a vibrator. She is unapologetic and buys another one because they work. As patients, we learn to do whatever it takes to deal with our symptoms. She shares inappropriate humor, and I find it delightful because MS can be brutal and inappropriate with us. Her sister says in the film that Selma has grit, and she really does. The movie shows how variable MS can be, day to day, minute to minute. Early on in the movie, we see how stress and stimulus can trigger symptoms. In a matter of minutes, we see Selma go from sitting calmly and talking to the camera to being overcome with spasms that affect her body and her voice. She shares her story in a very honest, raw, yet funny way. She lets us see her darkness, her humor, her devotion to her son, and her uncomfortable faith. Have you had uncomfortable faith at some point while living with your disease? Leave me a comment below if you have. One of the things that I really appreciate about Selma is that she's not afraid to show that she's very vulnerable, just like a lot of us. We're susceptible to the physical and emotional challenges of living with an unpredictable disease. Her cell phone video is raw and sometimes quite disturbing. In the movie, she also shares her family story, the darker side of life, and her fears. She shares why she made the movie and how her diagnosis has changed her. She says, I hope I will be a better person now. At one point, she also discusses her own self-doubt and how she wonders if she's crazy enough to be causing her own MS symptoms, if it's all in her head. Many MS patients have to see a lot of doctors, and it can take a long time to reach diagnosis, and we do have moments like this. Am I crazy? Am I lazy? Is it all in my head? And at one point, she shares the shame she feels when her symptoms flare. Yeah, that's a tough one. We've all felt like that, haven't we, at one time or another? It's incredibly hard to share when our symptoms get the best of us. And honestly, many times people just don't get it. MS, you don't get it until you get it. At one point, she tries to do a cartwheel and is frustrated that she can't. She says it should be so easy. It looks so effortless when you see people execute a cartwheel correctly. The same can be said for many effortless things like walking, running, picking up a pen, picking up a utensil. MS can make everyday easy tasks frustrating, and seeing Selma voice this is helpful. I found the title confusing at first, introducing Selma Blair, but in the end, I got it. The world did not know her. They knew a supporting actor who made leading actors look great. Her documentary introduced us to Selma Blair, the real person, with all the facets that go along with that, including a complicated relationship with her mom, a self-deprecating sense of humor, a real person that has flaws and anxieties and stress, and a very strong will. One thing that did bother me about the film, though, was the music. At times, it was distracting and over the top. Don't get me wrong, I love a good soundtrack, and at times I wish I had one for my life, but it was a bit too much. Her story is compelling enough without the gigantic swells of music or the dramatic bass line. It's kind of ironic because at one point in the movie, Selma talks about how stimulus can trigger her and her symptoms. I admire Selma's courage and willingness to put it all out there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Oftentimes, people with MS or any chronic illness don't open up and put it all out there. When people ask, "How are you doing?" we respond with, "I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm doing fine, thanks." We don't want pity. We don't want judgment, and we certainly don't want unsolicited advice. We don't want to be defined by our illness. We want to feel normal, whatever that is. Respect for you, Selma. Thank you for laying bare the journey you've been on. I'm sending you healing vibes and all the good mojo. She ends the movie saying that she's at peace and sharing her desire to live a life where she makes a contribution. This is a deeply moving documentary that is heartwarming, inspiring, and at times brutal to watch. I was worried about watching this movie, but I'm so glad that I did. I highly recommend watching it, whether you have MS or not. Maybe even more for those who don't have MS. I think it could help people get a better understanding of what MS patients face, and it's not just that wheelchair disease. You can watch this movie on Discovery Plus. If you don't have a subscription, they have a free 7-day trial at the time that I made this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this video, please give it a like, the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Until next time, my friends, be well.